Chapter 2, page 67, assignment 13. Create a new spreadsheet workbook and enter the data shown. I've put most of it in, but there's a tip about the exam numbers. The exam numbers can be copied using fill series. Enter the first exam number in A4. Next, highlight A4 to A15, making the point that when you're highlighting, it should be the white cross mouse pointer. In the home section of the ribbon, click the fill button, which is located in the editing group. When you drop down the little menu, you can choose series. And yes, it's a column and it's linear. In other words, we're going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we say OK, and all the numbers have been filled in for us. So the first question is on page 68. Calculate the number of students examined in each centre. So down here they have the names of the centres, and in here we're going to establish how many students were examined in each one. So to do that, we're going to use COUNTIF. So we go to FX and we type in COUNTIF, click on Go, and choose it from the resulting list. So the range of exam centres is B4 to B15. And I am going to want to copy this function down to the next two lines, so I will make this absolute. The criteria is next door to where I'm putting this function. It's in A18. And that won't be absolute because as I move to the next row, I want to read A19, and as I move to the following row, I want to read A20. So we say OK to that, and as mentioned, we're copying it down. Question 2 says, calculate the number of exams corrected by each examiner. So the list of examiners is in column C from C4 to C15. And again, we're going to use COUNTIF to count up the number of times a particular name appears. So we use FX to get the insert function dialog box. Since we only used COUNTIF a moment ago, it's there in the list anyway, so we'll just highlight it and say OK. The range is C4 to C15, and we do want the dollar signs on that. And the criteria is next to where I'm inputting this function, so it's actually in C18. And again, that is not absolute because as I move to the next row, I want to read from C19, and as I move to the following row, I want to read from C20. So we say OK to that, and we copy that down. Question 3 says format the data as shown. So heading is merged and centered and made bold. All of the main table, the data has been centered within the columns and the headings are in bold. And in this little table here, the data has been centered and the two headings are bold. And as often happens when you make a heading bold, the column width might not be sufficient to accommodate it. So I'm just going to readjust that column width, which is format, out of the column width. And then the next little table, the heading marker has been centered and made bold, but the names of the markers are not centered. The heading number of exams corrected needs to be made bold and centered, and it would look better to center the numbers as well. And again, I need to slightly adjust that column to accommodate the extra width due to the bold print. And finally, we save the spreadsheet as Galway Examining Board. So File, Save As, into your relevant folder. Make sure you have the name correct and save. And that's the assignment completed.